this video is sponsored by Sweetwater. Today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we talk about what makes a good live guitar. Most of you are used to seeing me play all sorts of different guitars here at home, in my home studio, and on this channel, but inevitably, whenever I go out on tour with my band Dragged Under, and I am seen with my Music Man guitars, I always am asked constantly, why aren't you playing insert guitar here? Why aren't you playing your Les Paul? Why aren't you playing your Paul Reed Smith? Why aren't you playing etc., etc.? Well, that's a great question. So I thought we would kind of go over the qualities and the specs, if there are any, that make a good live guitar, both as, a weekend player and as a touring musician. Now, it should go without saying, everybody's preferences and choices are obviously going to be different in the instrument that you decide to play and what is best for you. So this is not me telling you what is best for you, but rather what is best for me and how I got there. And maybe that can help you decide, what's a good live instrument for you to play. So first, let's get some of the obvious things out of the way. A guitar has to look cool. I mean, you don't want to be playing a guitar that doesn't necessarily stoke you out, right? You want something that is you, that evokes you. A guitar is like a pair of shoes or a pair of pants or, an entire ensemble. In some cases, it's all up to you and what you think is cool. Now, my Sparkle Music Man Stingray looks awesome, and I loved the dichotomy of having something kind of sparkly and non-serious to play heavy riffs with. I liked that dichotomy, and therefore, this has been my #1 touring guitar since my band started. But looks aren't everything, right? It has to feel good, and I love the neck on this guitar. I can play it for a long time, and my hand doesn't get tired or anything like that. It also just happens to sound incredible. Now, no matter what level you are playing at, if you're playing on the weekends, you're playing once a month, once a year, or are a touring professional, those things are pretty universal. It has to look good, it has to feel good, it has to sound good. But if you dive a little deeper, there are some utilitarian things that not all guitars have, and that makes them not necessarily work for me for a live and or touring situation. So I'm gonna put down Mr. Sparkle, and to answer the question at the top of the video, hey, Fluff, why don't you play your Gibson Les Paul? That's a great question. Well, this certainly looks cool. It feels good to play, but why wouldn't I tour with this? Well, for one, it's very heavy. It's very heavy, and playing, a 45-minute set with a 12-pound piece of wood, maybe that's not for me or my back. However, the Tune-o-matic bridge on Gibsons isn't something I've had very good luck with on tour. Now, I do not have a guitar tech, so I am maintaining all of my own guitars, and the Tune-o-matic for me can be problematic depending on the situation you are in. So if I'm coming in from a very cold winter environment into a hot club, and then I have to get on stage and play in the span of 10 minutes, this is gonna be a problem. Also, this particular Les Paul doesn't have locking tuners. So when I need to quickly restring, I wanna be done with the restringing in 5 minutes or less. Honestly, I need locking tuners. I need to feed the string through the peg head, lock it, cut the excess, and go. So the next example, Fluff, why don't you play your Paul Reed Smith Custom 22? I love this guitar. This guitar is one of my favorite guitars I've ever owned. It's just a very unique guitar. It certainly looks cool, but it doesn't really look that cool on me when I'm standing up, because this is kind of a smaller guitar, and admittedly, I look a little goofy with this thing standing up. Now, that is not the reason why I wouldn't tour with this guitar. The reason why I wouldn't tour with this specific guitar is this is a floating tremolo. I jump around and do all sorts of goofy stuff on stage, and I don't need a floating tremolo to go back and forth. Now, admittedly, the Paul Reed Smith tremolo is probably my favorite floating tremolo of all time. It is extremely stable. However, this is not something I need to devote brain power into worrying about when I'm playing a set. I need a locked down bridge that's not going to move on me. Now, this certainly has the locking tuners covered. And otherwise, it sounds really good, but it looks kind of goofy on me, and it has a floating bridge. So I'm not going to play a show with this one. Now, going back to my touring guitars, this is my Drop D guitar. This is a Dustin Kensrue signature model. And this is my Drop C Sharp guitar, Mr. Sparkle. These guitars are my touring guitars for the following reasons. One, they look good, they sound good, they feel good, but there's also some features like Mr. Sparkle has a roasted maple neck. Now, roasted maple is extremely stable, and this has sat out in the dead of winter in Buffalo, New York, in 10-degree weather. I have brought this into a club and played a show right away with it, and it held its tune perfectly. It was as if it had an Evertune bridge, but it obviously does not. And there's locking tuners, so I can quickly do a string change in the back of the van or wherever I need to do it. The bridge is resting on the body, so it is very, very stable. The body is not the thickness of a Gibson Les Paul, so it's girthy, but it's not 12 pounds. This is more like 8.5 or 9 pounds, and it's just reliable. And that is going to be the tool that I choose to play my live show with. Basically, my point is you want a guitar that requires the least amount of maintenance and attention possible. Whatever that guitar may be, that's the one that I want for my live situations, because I need to be thinking about my playing and the song and the set and my band and the performance. I don't need to be thinking about, oh, is my G string gonna slip, pun intended, out of tune, like on a Gibson Les Paul, for example, or is my floating bridge on my Custom 22 going to decide to, go out of whack if I break a string, which in this case, yes, it would. So if I broke a string, I'd be toast. That is not the case with my Music Man. There you go. Now, if you want additional tools to help you choose the best live instrument possible, I highly recommend Sweetwater's Guitar Gallery. Now, the Guitar Gallery is actual photos of actual guitars, not just general representative photos. You can actually go into the Guitar Gallery and choose between up to 4 different guitars at a time and see the actual finishes on the actual guitar, get specs like weight, and see them at all sorts of angles in the light and all of that stuff. The Guitar Gallery at Sweetwater is a great tool to help you choose your future live guitar. And yeah, I use this quite often whenever I'm shopping for a guitar. I always go to the Guitar Gallery and I nerd out and kind of go. And they even include a photo of the case. Can anyone tell me why they include a photo of the case? I don't know, but they do. Thanks, Sweetwater. And that's really it. That's how I choose my live guitars. If you guys have any tips to choosing a good live guitar, please let me know down in the comments. This was something I never really thought of before I started touring in a serious fashion, and I don't have a guitar tech to maintain my guitars. Every time I used to look at Jack White in the White Stripes playing a plastic guitar, I used to just think, man, I bet your guitar tech is working overtime to keep that thing playing well or sounding good or even keeping it together at all. But yeah, those are the things that I use to determine what is going to be a good live guitar or not. You've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you liked the video you just watched, please consider subscribing. And if you want to further support me and what I do, consider using some of the affiliate links down below in the description of this video. Go on over to Sweetwater, buy yourself something, and help me out at the same time. It's a win-win for both of us.